You guys, welcome to the Marketing Machinery Podcast. This is our first episode with a juicy topic like, is digital marketing a good career? Now, Ian, what's your answer to that?
I would say yes and yes.
And we're very biased, super biased with that. Because we're both pretty successful digital marketers. Now, is that kind of a boastful thing to say? I feel like we have to no matter what, otherwise no one will take us seriously. But it's the truth. Like we've been doing it for 7 to 8 years, collectively about 15, 16 years combined. We've ran some pretty dang successful campaigns, and we don't work for the same company. We actually did in the past. That's how we met each other. But that was back in Idaho. There's nothing to do in Idaho, so we came to Utah. Way more fun. But yeah, no, I think it's a phenomenal career path, and we'll just hop right into the pro number one, which I truly believe is one of the best. You don't need a college degree to make good money.
Yeah, I would say this isn't to say don't get a college degree if you want to go into digital marketing. There are still a lot of companies out there who the HR people put that on there because they think this is a professional position. Yeah. People need college degrees.
It is a white collar job, so it's you know, that's typically a college degree, a bachelor's degree minimum requirement. But one nice thing about it is very performance heavy. And we'll touch on that, but going back to the education of, there are so many other things you can do. Like, for example, you could if you don't have any college degree, the easiest way, and one of the biggest things we want to do with this podcast, we want to be as specific to give you instructions on how you can succeed in a digital marketing career. That's our job as hosts of this podcast. We want to make sure you become the best marketer you could possibly be. But speaking of, if you are graduating from high school right now, or let's say you're in college, where would be the best place to try to find a digital marketing job?
So I would go and try to just get paid for doing digital marketing as soon as you can, in whatever form that is. If that's running a business for your uncle's banana stand, or running marketing for your uncle's banana stand, whatever, then do that. If you can, go get a job at an agency, which here in Utah there are hundreds.
There's more agencies than lemonade stands. Let's just put it to that.
Oh, definitely.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that's not true, but regardless,
I think it is. More agencies. There's a lemonade stand shortage, but yeah, get in at an agency. If you find that difficult, you can always go to, there's like different digital marketing boot camps and things, so that you at least have a little experience doing digital marketing. But I would just try and go find a job where you can get paid as soon as possible. It's not going to be the most glamorous thing. I think back in the day, I heard them called SEO monkeys. Basically, there are agencies, and there's a wide variety in the quality of agencies. Some of them, they just want warm bodies to go in and just do stuff. But, it's a way that you can get experience. Another way that you can get experience if you're not even able to get into an agency is just do some side projects on your own.
Yeah, do it. Like, make a business of your own. I think. So speaking of, agency world, is I promise you, there are agents who wants you, and they're willing to pay, again, not like phenomenal money. It might be $10 to $15 per hour, but would you rather work that or Taco Bell? I'd rather work at an agency all day long if I was 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
But that's not to say digital marketing doesn't make really phenomenal money. Again, according to salary.com, which is a little bit higher than like a Glassdoor average, but I like to use salary.com because I like to think more positively of what is possible. Glassdoor, I tend to look at it as a bit more negative and like what's realistic. Honestly, what's realistic is what you're putting into it. That's my take. Philosophy, yeah. But according to salary.com, the average marketing specialist, which to be a marketing specialist, you only need 1 to 5 years of experience, you typically make around $74,810. Now, the next role after that is a marketing manager role, which doesn't mean you're managing people. It's just kind of the step up from that. And typically, you need minimum of like 3 years, upwards to 8 years. And on average, according to salary.com, it's $114,604. So above 6 figures, which you can obtain in the first 3 years of your career. Now, again, this is a more positive outlook. Now, is it realistic? Again, my philosophy on it. Ian has a different take on it, but it is very doable, right?
Oh, it's 100% doable. I just want to kind of set the stage that there's a big variance in these salaries. If we talked about you start with one of those lower tier agency jobs, which is totally a valid thing to do because it's better to have that on your resume than nothing, you're not going to be making $75,000 a year.
Typically not.
But if you can show that you're a hustler in a good way. You
Yeah.
know, you put in the work, you have great performance to show for it. You're going to be able to leverage that and go and increase your salary fairly quickly, whether it's at that company or whether you take it and go to a different company. You'll get compensated for it. That's also a personal choice. Some people want to jump companies more than others. You might find something that you're pretty comfortable in, and maybe you're not maximizing your salary, but it's great work-life balance. You make good money.
There's so much to, like, the philosophy of money isn't something we're going to touch on maybe in this podcast, maybe in a different podcast. But with digital marketing, and we're going to still touch on the pros, but we're going to touch on the cons on the second half. But one of the pros is the fact that, yes, you can make phenomenal money. It does come with a lot of stress, though, I will say. But regardless, again, focusing more on the pro side, you can make great money. And one of the other ways to make money that's a little bit more stressful, but I think it's so worth it, because the reason I know you can make phenomenal money past 115, even in 3 years, is I personally have done it myself through side clients. Now, you can pick, let's say hypothetically, you pick up side clients. There's so many smaller businesses out there that can't pay you $75,000 a year, but can pay someone $1,500. There are so many businesses who can pay $1,500 a month for your retainer cost. Now, that doesn't mean they have to spend $500. Sorry, those clients typically will spend $500 a month to upwards of $5,000 a month on Google, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever their service is. But let's say you pick up 3 of those $1,500 a month client. That's $4,500 a year, and that's over
$4,500 a month, $54,000 a year.
54, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the reason we know this, we did this math beforehand. But regardless, again, 3 clients isn't going to take up that much more work, because you're going to look for clients that are kind of easier to manage than like a full-time position. And you'll make it very clear to them, like, hey, I'm not spending 40 hours a week with you. I'm going to spend a good amount of time, take my expertise. But that's, let's say you have a typical $75,000 salary, another $4,500 a month, you're $130K plus. Pretty. Yeah, it's seeing real pretty. But yeah, that's the big benefit of digital marketing, is if you like money, phenomenal way.
Yeah, and it really gives you a nice little, safety blanket where, because we can get into this with the cons later, but it's, as a marketer, let me just say, it's nice to know that if I lose my regular job, I have this other money coming in that can sustain you. Or
vice versa. Let's say you lose a client. Who the heck cares?
Yeah.
I mean, would that be nice? Because in retrospect, $1,500 a month, by the way, can get you an $80,000 truck. Now, I'm not going to talk about anything financial, but if you like big trucks, if you like nice cars, go pick up a side client as a digital marketer, nice. Which it's a big passion of mine. I love cars. But that's, like Ian said, like, even if you lose your main job, you have side clients. If you lose a couple of side clients, you have your main job. It is such a great balance of income. Yeah. And shifting on to kind of the next really big point that is related to it is the fact that it's a very performance heavy job. So that's a pro and a con. But the pro is, if you're good, dude, money will follow, man. Like, if you're a good marketer, even in year 1, let's say if you can take $1 turn into $10 consistently with scalability. So let's say someone gives you $100,000 a year to spend, you turn that $100,000 into $1 million. Dude, do you know how much more money you will earn if you can show that kind of track record to other companies? Now, in a big company, that doesn't mean much, but to, like, let's say you're in an agency world, because you're handling anywhere from 5 to 10 clients. One of your clients happen to just pop off. Take that experience, go to just one company in that industry, show them what you did. Boom, you're out of the 50K realm. You're easily into the 70, 80K realm, which is so nice. And that's why we kind of talk about agencies in the beginning, is you get so much experience in the agency world. You're going to work with lead gen, e-com.
Yeah, I think when you start your career, and this is naturally what's likely to happen, but you want to get broad experience. Yeah. And you can either do that by going to work for an agency where you work for different types of clients, and then you kind of figure out what kind of client you like better than others, and you can try a few different strategies, or you can go work for a smaller company or like a startup. And this is what I did. You get lots of experience in different types of marketing tactics, and you get to figure out what you like best. In my case, I figured out, I really love paid advertising. I want to go somewhere where I can do that full time.
Yeah.
Which
you picked a really good one. Again, we're not going to dive into specifics, but I think the other part is it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's super freaking fun. Now, again, we might
Yeah.
be super biased in saying that because we both picked it and we both enjoy what we do. But, like, without a doubt, if you like making it kind of, to me, feels sometimes like a video game, you know?
Yeah.
You set something up and you wait maybe a day later, and then if that's performing really well, like your endorphin boost, your dopamine level just
Yeah,
skyrocket.
you get
I
it.
will tell you, you don't need drugs when you're a good digital marketer. Just kidding. No, it's a fun. You can gamify it a lot easier than I feel like a lot of other careers. Like, no diss on accountants by no means, but I will never do your taxes for you.
Yeah.
That seems like a living nightmare to me. But I will set up your ads all day long. Like,
Yeah.
that's way more fun.
Yeah, that dopamine hit is a real thing, and especially when you're working with big budgets and you can just refresh your reports every hour, and you like start a new campaign and you see, yeah, we got 2 more sales, we got 3 more. It's just awesome. And so that I heard something on another podcast, which I think relates a lot to this, and I wish I could remember what that podcast is. But they had talked about like what gives people fulfillment in their jobs and what makes them happy. And they actually cited some work by a German psychologist called Karl Gruss back in 1901, where he did a study on the purposes of play in animals, well, mostly mammals and humans, obviously. And the thing that he found was there's a distinct pleasure that children and also adults get from, he called it being the cause.
Yep.
Basically, you see, like, you think if you're a kid and you pick up a rock and you throw it and you get a joy from like, I threw this rock in the dirt and it made a cloud. Like, digital marketing, is that just on a huge...
Oh, a dirt cloud. Sorry.
A dirt cloud. It
I
is
thought
a
you meant
dirt
an actual cloud. I was like, whoa, yo, that's some crazy skills right there.
No, that would be serious power. Yes, you basically, digital marketing makes you a god. You can generate matter out of
With revenue.
With yes. But that really is my favorite part, and that's why I wanted to switch into paid advertising, was because in my first job I did it a little bit, but it was like, I turn this on, I decide how much budget goes in, and then there's actual people on the other end who see that ad, and maybe some of them hate it, but some of them think it's cool. They decide to go to your site. So yeah, I think that part of it is awesome.
Oh, I truly agree. And the other really big pro is there's so many different avenues you can go. Like, we specifically very heavily talked about paid advertising because that's typically the sexiest route. But there are SEO, which is a little longer form. There's email marketing, there's SMS. There's so many other ways you can go about digital marketing. That's also super fun. But also you can venture in and out of other paths in the marketing team. For example, there's the creative department. There's, if you really like IT and data, you can go into analyst position. You could get, if you really like the creative side, you can go graphic design, videography, photography, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And marketing could just be kind of like your foothold into a department like that, or vice versa, right? Yeah. Like, I was a professional photographer by trade back in high school. I took a lot of senior portraits, did a lot of videography in college, and realized, hey, I don't really want to scale this photography business. I'm tired of doing freaking weddings. The wedding industry, that's super fun. It is, I will say.
But you were single at the time too.
I was single at the time, seeing a bunch of people getting married.
Heard a little bit.
My single life. Yeah. But no, I happily married now, by the way. But it is it's fun because as a photographer, I never knew I was going to be a digital marketer, but I realized, hey, I can't break into this industry. And I already worked with a handful of them in the past with other companies. And yeah, you just get your foot in the door, and it's a vice versa type situation where you can go in and you can go out of different departments.
Yeah, and I think that's one of my favorites too, is you get to get a little bit of skill in like all these different areas. And also one of the great things is when you tell people you're in marketing, you can go super into depth and tell them all the details of what you do.
Like this.
Or you can just say, I'm in marketing. And people immediately kind of know what you do. Yeah. They might think that you're the one, behind the scenes directing the commercials. But you at least get, it's not like you're... Actually, I was going to say nuclear engineering, but that's like a super awesome job. It's not like...
All you need is digital marketing to be a nuclear engineer.
You're not like a systems analyst. Like, what the heck is a systems analyst? You know what I mean? You just say marketing and people know it.
I would say one thing before, I know we're the second half we talking about the cons, but one thing I think that's very, very important, and this might just be because we live in Utah, the hustle culture is insanely big here. Everyone has some sort of side hustle, which is nice. But speaking of side hustles, let's say you don't want to do paid advertising for someone else. For example, I also have my real estate license. I can do advertising for myself, get my own leads. agents. Typical other realtors can't do that because they don't have that skill set. So they have to go out of pocket thousands of dollars to do that. And maybe not even with a skilled like marketer, that's another big risk a lot of people take. So if you get good at marketing, even if that's not, maybe you're like butter, this is the most fun thing in the world. If you ever want to be an entrepreneur, this would be an incredibly valuable skill set to have in your journey to entrepreneurship. Because you look at early startups and when they try to raise money, typically it is almost always either for inventory or marketing. That is typically what you're always going to face. But if you already have the marketing part done, perfect, man. Like if you're already a phenomenal marketer, you can pretty much, do your own marketing at cost and then spend all the extra money on inventory or whatever you need to do, or hire an assistant or whatever you need to have. You can take that allocated budget that typical companies have to have and allocate it to different department because you can take care of it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, anybody that's ran a business probably has figured out the toughest thing is actually making money. Go figure. Yeah. And what do you need to make money? You need people to buy your stuff. So
absolutely. Yeah. Now you could do it in a handful of ways, but again, digital marketing is tried and true way that is, that works and you can scale. And again, I can talk about this because I also do own a couple of businesses that are pretty dang successful due to digital marketing. But now we talked about a lot of the benefits of it. There are some pretty big downsides.
Yes.
I will say the biggest one right now is stress, I believe. Like right now, people are losing jobs left and right, more in tech and more the IT department and more of like, departments that were made that are loss leaders for a lot of companies. Like for example, Amazon's Alexa department is actually where they laid off majority of their people, not in their typical, I don't really know how it's structured, but I just know it's majority of it's on the the Alexa department.
Not the warehouse people.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, for example, right now, because of it, during a recessionary time, people aren't buying as many stuff. So let's say you're a digital marketer for e-com side, or really honestly anything, people are seeing a bit more of a harder time to convert because not a lot of people are spending money. The velocity of money has gone down right now due to being in a recession. And for a digital marketer where you're performance based, it is pretty stressful,
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen that are outside of your control, not only in the wider economy. Let's say you're in the mortgage space and you're trying to originate home loans. Like, you're screwed right now. Yeah. Sorry. I assume maybe there's some super successful people out there who
probably
still
there's always a
1%ers. It's not like everybody's losing their job, but in that position, you have to really show that you know your stuff and you're worth keeping on long term. Because what a lot of companies do when the bad times hit is they say, all right, we have to cut our variable costs.
Yeah.
And what's a big variable cost for a lot of companies is what they spend in their advertising. Now, if you're in performance advertising and you can show, hey, for every dollar I put in, we get $2, then you're kind of closer to the revenue. You're less likely to get cut. If you're more in brand marketing, like we're trying to build brand awareness,
or like
over
a PR department.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough, but I mean, that's the stressful part is, like it comes and goes with the times, like almost, but that's the thing is like, it's not just marketing though. There's so many companies that it's called a recession for a reason, right? But the other really stressful part of that is actually the performance side. Again, like marketing is very performance heavy for majority of the departments in the sense of, again, like typical e-com businesses, you want to see about 2.5 ROAS, meaning every dollar you spend, you should be able to make $2.5 back. Now, like if you are spending $1,000, it's a lot easier to do when rather than spending $1 million. And so that's the part is it is stressful to sometimes it's fun to manage all that money, but there's also a negative side of, oh my gosh, I have to go and spend this million to go make 3, 4, 5, 6 million. And if it was truly easy, there would be a lot more millionaires nowadays. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every single digital marketer should be a millionaire theoretically, right? That's the name of the game. Because if you could do it for someone else, why wouldn't you do it for yourself? If you can turn every dollar into $10, why wouldn't you do it for yourself? There's a lot of different reasons why someone might not. But again, that's just the thing is, if everyone can do it, there would be a lot more millionaires, and inflation would be 1,000,000 times worse than it is right now.
And the reason a lot of people think they can do it is because maybe they just go and watch a video on YouTube that shows them how to do it, and it looks super easy, but you don't really know how to, let's just say, run a paid ads campaign or run a Google ads campaign, for example. You don't really know what you're doing until you've encountered multiple instances where you had major problems. Let's say Google pushed out some updates, You had a problem on the website that messed with your conversion tracking. A million things could go wrong. You can't really call yourself an expert until you've solved multiple problems and know what to do when things go wrong, not when things go right. That's another big con, I would say, is especially in digital marketing, things are just always changing. We could go on a whole podcast talking about the iOS 14.5 updates.
Which we probably should. But how you can conquer that, not just complaining, because I don't think you guys want to just hear us whine about, iOS 14 sucks, which it does. And you touched on a really good big point. Like, we mentioned iOS 14 because that's one of the biggest changes of all time that just destroyed a lot of performance marketers. It literally made it overnight 10 times harder to advertise to people. And long story short, for people who don't understand what the iOS 14 update did, is it allowed so Apple devices and Apple users were significantly harder to now track their interest based on. And that's a very, very surface way to put it. Yeah. But to put perspective, as digital marketers, one of the best ways to do it is we pick interest at your, again, very surface level description of what we do, but what we do is we pick an interest group, right, of what you might be interested in. This is about 3-4 years ago. And then let's say you're interested in shopping. Let's say you love dresses. There are literally target-based audiences target dresses. If you like dresses, we will hit you with ads with dresses. And it used to do a really dang good job of it. But now it just makes it significantly harder due to all the privacy that they want to keep. And not that, not that you aren't going to get hit with some ads, you're going to, but you might get hit with less ads that you weren't as interested in the past due to iOS 14 and a lot more other changes. But again, we can go on a whole podcast around that. But again, the thing is, that is one of the biggest stressful times. I remember when that hit, like, all my performances went down probably 2-3. I would say my ROAS went down almost by half overnight. Which is your return on ad spend. Yeah.
Basically, for how much money you put in, how much money do you get back? That's what we're talking about with ROAS.
Exactly. So let's say typically, I would say any successful e-com, again, I'm only mentioning e-com because that is so prevalent to a lot more people. In e-com, 2.5 ROAS is a phenomenal return on your money, meaning for every dollar you spend, you get $2.50 back. And typically, you have enough margins where you can net profit around 30 to 35%, as long as you have a good product. But let's say I was, a lot of my ads back then were doing it about 4 or 5. But overnight, it turned into 2.0, 2.3, 2.7. And I'm just like, what the crap just happened? Like, we were killing it. Yeah. And now to just be passable to make profit, that's a pretty dang stressful time. And ever since then, it's been significantly harder to, get that ROAS up to 5 or 6 or 7, like I was saying before.
Yeah. And it's not just the Facebook 14.5. We could go through the whole history of marketing, all the different times this has happened, and it's happened to each of us and the clients and companies we've worked with. I could say just the beginning of this month, we got one marketing channel to the degree where it was the biggest on my team. It was crushing it. And then the company decided to make some changes on their back end. Maybe it helps some other companies that were advertising, but it totally screwed us over. Yeah. But that's going to happen. It's their company. They're going to make those decisions. Nothing we can do about it.
Absolutely. So it's like we mentioned the pro side. It is a pro and a con in the sense it's fun. Like, if you like learning, if you like going with the changing times, it is a fun time. But if you're not if you're not okay with change, probably this may not be the best career for you.
Go make some furniture.
Hey, couch flipping is a real business, according to Ryan Pineda, which he's made good money. I've seen a lot of other people make good money. But the other, I would say we won't go too much into the con because honestly isn't that much. And again, we come from a pretty biased situation. But the other part a lot of people like to look at is, let's say a lot of con for other jobs, you might have to work weekends. Rarely will you ever have to do that with digital marketing, except for the holidays. Now, it depends on what kind of company you work for. Like, again, if you're working for e-com, direct to sales type business, yes, holidays will be very, very busy for you because that's where you're going to have the best campaigns running. You're going to be able to get the highest return on your money. Mm-hmm. But you're also going to have to work those holidays, or you got to at least keep your laptop handy.
Yeah. You always need to be on call, I guess. Yeah. The more budget you're managing, then the more sensitive the company's going to be to you being available to make changes when you need to. So if you're managing, millions of dollars a month in ad spend, you go out on vacation. Unless there's somebody else at the company who's very familiar with everything that's going on, don't be surprised if you get a Slack message from your boss when you're in Tahiti or whatever saying, hey, what's going on with this? I know you're on vacation. Sorry, but could you check this out? And then, sorry, babe, now this is what you're doing.
No, yeah,
so
for sure. There's so many times
that can happen.
where my wife was pretty annoyed that I had to hop on my laptop to fix a couple things that needed to have been done. Like, for example, performance-wise, you have to turn off campaigns sometimes here and there, like depending on how you structure them. Like, for example, during the holidays, it's not uncommon to set up almost 50 to 100 different campaigns. And you might have to turn off a few to help optimize the other ones. Now, that is a downside, but at the same time, not on the holidays, it can get pretty chill. Like I said, I don't want to focus so much on the cons because honestly, I think digital marketing is one of the best careers you could ever go into. It's fun, whether you even like performance marketing or not. But if you're somewhat into sales without all the crazy pressure of sales, phenomenal job career to go into.
Yeah, I do want to touch on one other con just because I saw it on Reddit and I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Somebody said, marketing is like dieting. Nobody wants to do it, but everyone has an opinion when you do it.
Oh, that is so freaking true. So freaking true.
You don't always get the respect you think you deserve as a marketer because people think that all you do is go hang out with movie stars and shoot commercials and sit around like madmen, come up with ideas. That is not what most marketers do, unfortunately. No. It is a lot of actual work, believe it or not. But I totally agree with Joe. It is a good career to go in. I'd say for most people, it's a pretty enjoyable career.
It's a very scalable career, I will say. I feel like nowadays a lot of kids are money. Sorry, just have to look at the time. A lot of kids are like money driven nowadays, which is great. I think that's phenomenal because I think the talk of finances were so lacking during the past 2 generations. And there's, kids who are becoming millionaires, what seems like overnight, and through digital marketing. That's how they did it. They sold their drop shipping or whatever crap that they were doing. But I think it's a phenomenal career path if you like the idea of being able to make really steady income. And in your extra free time, if you, have 5 to 10 hours a week, go pick up a couple side clients, take that money, reinvest it into whatever you want to, have a bigger savings account. I have a very deep philosophical belief on how you should invest that money to have, growth so that, you can actually retire at a proper age, which that we can have a whole nother podcast on is, are you going to be able to retire as a digital marketer? And yes, you absolutely can. But you know what I mean? Like it's having a scalable career is pretty hard to find. And this is one of the few careers that you are able to do that in. So, take that into consideration when you're thinking of all the cons that we just mentioned. But guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you about this topic. This is, again, the very first episode, so it would mean the world to us if you hit that subscribe button, whether you're on the podcast, you just, save it or whatever, or share with a friend, which would also be super nice. I know we probably shouldn't be asking for this kind of stuff in the beginning. Why the heck not? Marketing tactic, always ask. Yeah. That's actually a sales tactic, but.
That's right. And this podcast, I imagine it might be do as we say, not as we do, because I think this is mostly just going to be fun for us, at least in the beginning. I don't know if we're going to really put our marketing hard hats on and try to totally blow this thing up. Maybe we will at some point.
No, and that's the thing is sometimes you got to do stuff for fun. To us, this is a lot of fun. And we're going to dive into some really, really fun topics. Like in the future, we're going to dive into actual, store marketing consultation kind of session where we would take a local store. We have a whole series on breaking down everything we would do differently to help them scale quite a bit better, which I'm sure you guys would be super interested in, which who wouldn't be, right? If you happen to be a business owner, that would be a perfect podcast to listen to because we will give you the exact way that we recommend to scale your business. But you guys, thank you so much. Ian, any last words that you got?
No, I'd say, just let us know if you have any questions. As you could probably tell, we're super small right now, so we would be totally down to help anybody out. So
but we're here to get swole, son. Oh! All right, see you guys.
Bye.